Hey friends, it's me, your pal Kelly Zemnickis, and welcome to episode number 36. Almost said 26. 36 of It'll Be Fine. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well today. I'm excited for today. We're making something that we've made before. We've done banana bread on the show before, but we're doing a variation on the theme, if you will. We are going to do some marbles banana bread. Thanks to our friends at foodnetwork.com. You can head to the website and find the recipe. I'm excited to make this today. I've even got my sandwich magnet to help me spell banana bread. Whatever. And I'm baking today with someone I've not met in person before. I don't know about you, but I've gotten to know a lot of people while being at home, self-isolating, doing a lot of comedy shows on Zoom and Skype and whatnot. And Felicia Madison is on the show today. She is a comic from New York City, a fantastic comic at that. She's doing a ton of shows, getting a lot of people together. And so that's how we connected. And she asked me if I would help her learn how to bake something. And fucking jumped at it. Of course I will. I'm super stoked. And on today's show, we're giving some love, giving some attention, hopefully raising $1 or $2 for Food Banks Canada. There are an awful lot of us who now have a much harder time getting food. And this is a problem that a lot of people in the country had on a regular day. And now a lot more people have this problem. So if you are able to donate $1 or $2 to Food Banks Canada, I thank you in advance, as they do too. Info is in the show description. So guys, get ready. It's gonna be bananas. This is It'll Be Fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
All right, so first off, before we get to Felicia in her kitchen, this is what you are going to need for today's show. You are going to need, okay, the recipe calls for all-purpose and whole wheat flour. Flour's hard to get right now. I'm just gonna do all-purpose for the whole thing. I didn't have time to find whole wheat. I do have some flaxseed meal. I might toss some in to make myself feel healthier. We're going with all-purpose flour. You are going to need baking powder as well as baking soda, which I have in the fridge. You are going to need some vanilla extract. Kosher salt. Is your box as big as mine? Probably not. You are going to need some sugar and bananas. And also, because we are doing a marble, you're gonna need some chocolate, baby. They suggest bittersweet. I have semi-sweet. Will be fine. And then the recipe also calls for canola oil. I have vegetable. Fuck it. That's all I got, man. And what else do we need? Buttermilk. I don't have that either. Kel Surprise. So you know what I'm gonna do? Sour cream. Will it work? I have no fucking idea. But that's what I'm doing. And then you're going to need 2 eggs. And that's it, baby. You're going to need a loaf pan. You can grease it up and use some parchment, or grease it up and put some flour in the pan. But that's what you need. Have a potato masher handy to mash your bananas. And a bowl. We've actually never met like in person. We've met doing these mics online. How long have you been doing stand-up? Like, do you remember your first show and how it went?
Yeah, I mean, I did my first show, like my first official show. I took a class with Manhattan Comedy School, and God, I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was great. I loved it. I took this class with my friend. We sort of were like, well, what should we do? And I loved it, and loved it so much I never stopped.
That's awesome. Were you I remember that very first show I did. I thought my heart was going to explode. I was so nervous. But the moment I finished, I felt like I wanted to get back on the roller coaster. Like I was hooked from the get-go. It was
Yeah, I think once you try it and if it's a good experience, you don't stop.
absolutely.
Because
And
it's like a drug. It's such a high.
totally. And how are you adapting to doing it online? Did it feel kind of clunky at first? Or
Yeah, actually at first I kind of liked it. And now as it's going on, I'm finding it more difficult and adapting. It's kind of like you have to find your voice all over again. And your style all over again. It's like different. But like at first I was just like, I did it as like an acting, like I'm just gonna act out, and like, and then you start worrying about, because the first couple of times I did it, it was on a platform where you didn't hear the reaction of the audience, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing them on Zoom where you do hear the reaction, and I find that unsettling.
Really?
Yeah, because like you could have like 300 people in the room or 100, but they only have like 5 or 6 people unmuted. So you're kind of like in your brain, you're expecting like a huge reaction, but you won't get it because there's only 6 people. And if there are only 6 people laughing, chances are not all of them will find what you're saying is funny.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you kind of get disappointed that you didn't get a good laugh. Like the big thing that everyone always says on Zoom is like, I'll just pause where there was supposed to be laughter.
I know. We're going to do this next. So if you have like a bit of, you can use butter or oil, whatever you want to do to just like coat the pan a bit.
Okay, I have like a pan like this?
Absolutely. Yeah, you just put
Or I have one of these pans.
I would do this. Yeah.
This. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think this is making too many loaves of bread, so I think just the one pan will be fine. And then do you have any parchment by any chance?
I don't think so.
That's fine. If you have a bit of flour, once you've greased it, just put a bit of flour in the pan. It'll just help the loaf come out when we bake it.
Okay, so that was butter you're putting in there?
I'm actually using coconut oil. Whatever you want to grease with. Yeah, just grease her up with whatever.
I have coconut oil.
Perfect.
So what are you doing it with, like a paper towel?
Yeah. And I'm just like coating the pan, and then in my case, I'm just stuffing it. But yeah. So once you've done a little bit of a base for it, just toss some flour in there, and it'll help. After. Ta-da! Just like the salt guy. You ever saw that video? Perfect. Just like magic. All right. So that is done. You can set that aside, and then we'll get to that in a second. So our next step is to take the chocolate, which we will melt in the microwave. So if you
I have like chocolate chips.
Perfect. I've got the same. So that's great.
Okay.
Do it for 15 seconds and 15 seconds, and then stir it a bit. If we need to do another 10 seconds, we will. You just never want to microwave chocolate for the full 30. You want to do it in increments. So we'll do 15 seconds, give it a stir, another 15 seconds. So you're going to put the bananas in the bowl, and then the sugar. I'm just reading the ingredients here. Yeah, so we want sugar and banana in one bowl.
Okay, the sugar.
Yeah. So your sugar, you want to add it to the bowl where you have your bananas, and you just want to mash that together, either with a fork or your hands. You know, just wanted to get that all mixed.
Okay.
Just super.
Probably could have had riper bananas, but.
Yeah, I got a bit lucky. Usually whenever I bake with bananas, they're never ripe enough. I always buy them like the day of because I forget or something. But you almost want the skin to be like pretty darn brown for like a good. Bananas are great in pancakes, by the way. If you ever run out of eggs, but you have bananas, throw that in the batter. Yeah. You'll get a really nice pancake without the egg.
Okay. Does it matter if it's lumpy?
Not at all. So I've got a bit, a little hard to tell with mine, but I've got a bit of lump to my banana, but it's all mashed together with, let's just see what you've got there. Yeah, so it looks about the same. Mine's there. There we go. All right, cool. So with that, we are going to add our oil and our egg.
Oil and the what?
And the eggs.
Okay.
So get the 1/4 cup of oil and 2 large eggs.
Wow, I feel like I'm on Rachel Ray or something.
I'm just like Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
Taking over. All right. So you've already got your eggs in there. Perfect. Just gonna do mine here.
Okay.
And whenever you're baking with an egg, of course, you want to leave your eggs at room temperature. For some reason, it just helps with the whole process. So you never want to take them out from the fridge directly. The next step is to take the flour. Now, in the recipe, it says like 2 kinds of flour. I just used all-purpose. If you just have almond, if you just have one flour, that's
I have the flour and the whole wheat. You had both, right?
Yeah, so you're good. I'm rebelling and not doing that.
Okay.
So add your flour in increments to the banana mix. So do a little bit, mix together, and then do a little bit more.
And I'm putting both flours in, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I probably should use the whisk instead of the fork. Use the fork to mash, the whisk to whisk. Okay, there you go.
All right, so you're gonna get that together into a nice batter. It shouldn't be like super smooth. You're gonna want to have some chunks in here of the banana. And then the next step is to take your baking powder and your baking soda.
How much baking powder?
So baking powder is 1½ teaspoons.
Okay, hold on. I'm still putting the flour in. Ooh, flour's going all over the place. Okay, last of the flour.
Perfect.
Ooh. Good arm exercise.
Exactly. It's like this great workout sometimes.
Wow. My other arm, my left arm's, my right arm's getting tired. Okay. Okay, so I got all the flour in, and then 1½ of baking powder.
Yes, so 1½ teaspoons of baking powder will be next.
1. And let's see, half. Okay.
All right. And then once you've done that,
what does baking powder do?
That's a good question. I'm gonna find that out when we put it in the oven. I'm gonna find that out.
Okay.
I get asked sometimes. Someone's in the kitchen with me and they'll ask me a question. I'm like, I don't know. But I'm gonna find out and we will tell you. But what I will say is you never want to mix up your measurements for baking soda and baking powder. They do 2 very different things.
Yeah, we couldn't find one of them. I can't remember which one, and we used the other one, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's something you could add to one to make it like the other, but.
Yeah, it's the same with like active and dry yeast. You can use them both. You just have to do things to each of them. So then you're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Do I sound like I have an accent when I do this?
Yeah. You sound like you're on the British Bake Off show.
My mom's British, so every now and then I'll say words with like an inflection that just sounds super British.
Wow, this is getting thick and yummy.
Yeah, this should look good. So you're kind of, it's hard to show on the Skype, but you kind of want like a nice like thick. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Okay, so we are also now doing salt. You're going to add a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Or if you just have salt, just add that. But I do have kosher, so that's
So do I.
good. All right.
I won't even begin to ask you what the difference is between kosher salt and regular salt, besides being prayed over.
That's the only, yeah, that's the only thing I've ever known. I don't know if it's like the cut of the salt or how it's, I'm not sure. Like, it's obviously not as fine as a table salt, but,
Yeah.
and you never need to use too much of it because it packs a lot of flavor. You never want to over salt a dish. That's actually one good baking tip I always love mentioning. If you're doing a recipe that requires salt and it needs butter, use unsalted butter. If you use a salted butter, don't add the extra salt. You're just going to add too much salt to your dish. So
Yeah, okay.
good tip to keep. And then the last thing is to add our vanilla, which is 1 teaspoon. You never want to get these mixed up. You want to make sure you're doing teaspoon and not tablespoon.
Okay. Okay.
Put our vanilla in. And the final thing is to grab buttermilk or whatever kind of heavy milk you have, table cream. I'm rebelling and using sour cream.
Okay, I have, I bought something here. Let's see what I bought. I have this cashew coconut milk, half and half.
All right, do that. So you need half a cup.
That's the closest I could find.
Yeah.
What I needed. Oh, it looks yum though.
Yeah, it's been hard to grocery shop. I don't know how it is in your area, but here in Toronto, it's interesting the things I can't find in the store. Like I couldn't find buttermilk. I couldn't find the other day like some random spice. It's people are buying strange things in bulk. So.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a whole comedy routine on what it says about our society based on what's left on the shelves. It's like there's no almond milk, but tons of regular milk.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's like you guys ate this you drank this milk your entire life. You can have it now. It won't kill you.
Or on the other end of the spectrum, all the bread is gone, but all the gluten-free bread is still there.
I know. All of a sudden, people threw this no carbs out the window.
Batter.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Smells nice and fresh and banana. And now what we're going to do is get that loaf pan we set aside. This guy. And you're going to grab the chocolate. And so what we are going to do is we're going to do it in layers. So we're going to layer a bit of the banana batter, then a bit of chocolate, and we're going to swirl it together with like a fork. So the whole idea here is to do like a marble version.
So you put a fork to put the chocolate on?
Yeah, like you're swirling it around. So you're going to put a layer of banana bread mix at the bottom of the pan.
Yeah, and then a layer of chocolate?
And a layer of chocolate, yeah. And you're just going to swirl that together. Be artistic as you want to be. I'll just make it's going to make a nice pattern when it bakes and then we cut into it. So it'll look kind of cool.
Okay.
And then do another layer of banana bread. And we're just going to keep doing this until we're out of banana mix and chocolate. Just want to grab out whatever you have in the bowl just to use as much of that batter as you can.
Yikes.
All right. I've been learning so much about time zones doing these mics remotely from my house.
What have you been learning?
Time zones. I'm learning a lot about mountain time and central time.
Yeah, it's funny. You have to do that now because everyone's watching from all over.
I know, it's crazy. I had a show last night with a guy who had to go do a show in Tokyo. So he took a nap so he could be up for 7 in the morning to do that, Mike.
Yum.
Alrighty. So that is for me. All my stuff is done. And what is next? Yeah, no, that's all you need. So as soon as you're ready, we are going to put this in the oven. Of course, your oven's already been preheated. Should be at 350. Ta-da! Beauty.
I just spilled it all over me.
Oh.
My husband smelled it and he looked at it and he said, "Oh my God, what possessed you?" I said, "Kelly."
The first thing I'll ask you to do is take a knife or a fork and just do a little poke to the bread to make sure it comes out clean.
Okay.
So,
Should I do a knife or a fork?
yeah, knife or a fork, or if you have a toothpick, you can use that too. I just don't.
I used to use spaghetti.
That's amazing. Oh, what a good tip. Spaghetti. That's a great idea. I love it. All right.
Yeah, it looks pretty wet inside still.
Yours is still wet inside?
Oh, maybe not.
All right. Well, we'll just give it a moment. I can give you some fun baking facts while we're waiting.
Okay.
Because I did some research. So kosher salt is a good baking salt because it dissolves quicker.
Oh.
So if you don't have kosher salt, you can use any kind of coarse salt. Just don't go table salt. So that's why.
I used kosher salt because I just needed that extra help from God.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not Jewish, but I had a friend. I just had like a thing of salt. Didn't know what kind of salt it was, and she blessed it for me one day. So we pretended it was kosher salt. Don't know what that'll do for me. And then the other thing, the baking powder versus baking soda. Baking soda. So both of them help make a baked good rise. And if you ever, like this one, have a recipe that needs both of them, basically it just means the baking soda just will need an extra bit of help in making the product rise. So they both do sort of the same thing. Like baking soda is a sodium bicarbonate that needs acid and liquid, which is why I called for buttermilk.
Okay.
But baking powder already has acid and sodium bicarbonate in it, and it just needs like a liquid to rise. So,
Oh, okay.
hello.
Should I take it? Yeah, look at that.
Amazing. I've got nice. Well done. It looks beautiful. Great. So now we very gingerly will get this out of the pan.
You have to get it out of the pan?
Yeah, so you're gonna take it out of the loaf pan very carefully because it's hot. That's what mine looks like inside.
Wow, yeah, look at this. Want to see mine?
It smells
That's
so
the
good.
edges.
Beautiful! Ta-da! Shall we do a taste?
Mmm.
Mmm,
Yum.
that's really.
Yum.
I high five you from afar.
Delicious.
I'm so happy with this. It's got a nice little. Oh, I hate the word moist, but it's moist. I can't stand that word at all. But I'm so happy we got this done.
I know.
Amazing.
Only a few minor catastrophes.
That's not at all. It always happens. It's always fine. See? It'll be fine.
So, I'll see you in a few hours when you help me with dinner.
I'm there. Done. Just give me a call. All right. We'll see you later. Oh no! What happened?
I dropped it.